Describe your brand. Own it. If you don't own it, someone else will do it for you. If you don't own it, people just won't know who you are.
Welcome to the Game of Her Own podcast, a podcast about women who work in sports. I'm your host, Jahaan Blake. After 15 years of working for 3 major league teams, including the Boston Red Sox, Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Chicago Cubs, I discovered the one thing I loved the most was helping women in sports shatter glass ceilings and take their seat at the table. I loved it so much that I made a business out of it. I have the honor of coaching high-performing women in the sports and entertainment industry and supporting them as they go after exactly what they want in their career. So if you are feeling tired of waiting on the sidelines, done being overlooked for promotions, and you're ready to pull ahead of the pack and take your career to the next level, girl, I'm here for it. I also created the Game of Her Own podcast to support you as well. We are here to share the stories of incredible women who work in sports and entertainment. These leaders and trailblazers will inspire you with their success and the lessons they've learned along the way to the top. Ladies, there is nothing like women empowering women. I am so honored you're here.
Game of Her Own listeners, we are going to talk all about personal branding over the next 15 to 20 minutes. Do you have a personal brand? I wish I could see you if you were nodding your head or shaking. I really want to understand who out there believes that they have a personal brand and it's helping them with their career growth, right? So what is personal brand? It's how you want only you, how you want people to see you. The act of investing your time in your person, making sure you have a personal brand is you have to be intentional. It's so crazy. This next thing I'm going to say, it's crazy, but it's true. We can't rely on just our performance to help us define our brand, help others see our brand the way we want them to. It's crazy to think a strong performer, that's not enough. I know this from personal experience. I know this from client interactions that a lot of times you may be crushing it out there, but others don't know what you do. Others, key stakeholders, people who have influence on your career, they are the ones who need to know who you are, what you stand for, what's important to you, what great work you do. Let me give you a quick example. For me, I wanted to be known for being an expert when it comes to the guest experience, the fan experience, customer experience, depending on what industry you're dealing with, but everyone calls it different things. But I wanted to be known for that work, especially in the sports and entertainment industry. That was important to me. For me, there's a lot of why behind that too, which I'll get into a second, but I knew very clearly this is what I wanted to be known for. So I'll give you some examples as we go through personal branding. I have a checklist for you and I have a download for you to help you define what your personal brand is. So, Game of Her Own listeners, are you ready? Let's do this. I'm going to give you some questions here, things to help you define your personal brand. So these are for you, only you. So download this, scroll down. A couple of things you could do. Listen, I know some of you are walking when you listen to me. Some of you are driving when you listen to me. I love when you guys tell me that. Thank you for spending this time with me. I really am honored. So I have a download that's going to prompt you on these questions that we're about to go over. If you are driving, please do not try to download it or write while you drive, because that would be dangerous. And if you're walking, same thing. Watch where you're going. So you can listen to these questions. You can come back and download it. If you're in a spot where you can download this worksheet, go ahead and download it. It'll give you access immediately to the questions. And then it's also going to give you access to a personal brand checklist. So 2 different things that are going to help you define your personal brand. So let's start with the first question. This one, you really want to be intentional. You want to take some time to answer this question. But what matters most when it comes to your career? So that's a question. What matters most when it comes to your career? Not what matters to somebody you aspire to be like, right? So maybe let's say you want to be a chief marketing officer and you decide, you know what? I keep using Melissa Proctor as an example a lot. I don't know why, but she's so great. So that's why. So you want to be like Melissa Proctor, but you're not going to have the same career journey as her. You guys are going to have different values. You're going to have different things that are important to you in your career. So copy paste doesn't work. It's got to be what matters to you, what matters most to you when it comes to your career. So I want you to spend some time on that question. When you don't spend time on that question, when you just kind of jot some stuff down or base it off of whatever narratives you see out there, right, on social media, things that are in the back of your head and you don't even realize it because you're scrolling on LinkedIn or Instagram, or I don't know what goes on TikTok, but maybe TikTok. Don't grab onto those narratives. Think about you. And this exercise could take you a couple of tries. You could write it, just do the first question first, and then come back to it later. I've had a lot of clients do that. In fact, and I recommend the same to you. They've written the answers, they've completed the questionnaire, walked away from it, came back 3 days later and was like, I'm going to tweak a few things because this actually sounds more like me. Okay, so start with what matters most to you when it comes to your career. That's the most important question. Next, you want to move down and think about, what do you want to be known for? What in your work do you want to be known for? I know, I said this earlier, for me, it's really important. I want to be known for my expertise. I'm not even talking about the coaching side of my business. I'm going to talk about the consulting side. That's what I've done for the past 20 years. And I can speak to that branding, that personal branding that I was working on throughout my career. I knew I wanted to be known as the expert when it comes to the fan experience, especially within a team setting, working for a team. I wanted everyone to know that, hey, come to me. I know there's a lot of experiences that I've had and that I could help others. I loved sharing best practices. And I loved getting them from other people too. So what do you want to be known for? Is it marketing? Is it, and we're going to talk about how to make sure it's unique and special in a second, but is it marketing? Is it sales? Do you want to be known for being the best salesperson, the best sales manager, and leading a team? Is that what you're really good at? I know that I'm really good at the fan experience. I know why I'm really good at the fan experience, which leads me to the next question for you. Why is it important for you to be known for this? This is a tricky one. This is an interesting question. I was very excited when I was putting together this workbook. This page that you're looking at is part of a bigger workbook for my clients, that we go through. So why is it important for you to be known for this? This just allows you to make sure that you have answered question number 1 in the right way. So why is this important for you? For me, I love hospitality. I love service. I love supporting people. My obsession with this started when I started working for the Boston Red Sox. And that's a lie. It started before I started working for the Red Sox. It started when I went to my first Red Sox Yankees game. I played sports all my life. Sports is in my DNA. It's not going anywhere. So I went to my first game, 1999, Memorial Day weekend, Red Sox, Yankees at Fenway Park. Was at a game. I still remember so much about that game. And I've been in sports for 20 years. I remember everything about how I was treated. And that's when my obsession started, knowing that this, the usher had an impact on me. The bartender who checked my ID, which that doesn't happen anymore, but it did then. And I loved it. And he checked my ID and started ribbing me because I'm from New Jersey and thought I was a Yankee fan. I remember the hot dog guy who kept coming over to me because I believe I had 2 hot dogs and a sausage that day. Like, what? But I just remember they were so fun and they came over and they just chit chatted and did their thing and they moved on. It wasn't long because there was a game going on. I remember the sights of the field. I remember the usher helping me, seeing that I was just blown away by being at Fenway Park for the first time. So that's when my obsession started. And then shortly after that, there was an opportunity to be a part of that. And then it just kept building and evolving. And that's the one thing, your personal brand could keep evolving. But I knew, I was like, I have to be a part of this. I didn't know, there was no fancy name. There was no guest experience or fan experience then, but I knew this was important to me. I wanted to make other people feel the way I did when I went to Fenway Park. And I knew there was some opportunity there. I knew that I wanted families. I envisioned what if my mother or dad, mother or father took me to a game? What would that be like for them? How much you spend so much money? How do I make sure that everyone who comes to the game who spends a ton of money, especially with the family when it's so much harder, how do I make sure that they have the same experience I had or a different one, but a great one when they go to the park? There's a lot of generational stories, generational ties that go with coming to, let's just use Fenway Park as an example, coming to a game. This is across all sports, but you're honoring a grandparent who may no longer be with you, somebody you was part of your life and had you listen to baseball games and on the radio, and it was special. And then that one time you got to go to the ballpark because it's so expensive. It was an incredible experience. And so I wanted to be a part of that. So as you can tell, I've been going on for a couple minutes now. That is something that is important to me. That's why it's important for me to be known for being an expert in fan experience. Now, this next question, I want you to think about, what are the things that make you unique and special? List a minimum of five things that make you unique and special. Okay, so I'll give you some examples for me because we are not talking on the phone right now. So I can't help you, but I can give you some examples to help you bring it to life. But think about it. So for me right now, if I was to write this, I would say, I've worked for 3 major market teams, Red Sox, Dodgers, Cubs, and helped them enhance the fan experience and have the to prove that. That is something that makes me unique and special. I've been part of 2 World Series championship teams. Nothing is more important than how you treat your fans when you are on top, when you don't necessarily need them because there's no shortage of people buying tickets, right? So how you treat them during a World Series championship ×2, and let's not forget all the postseason action during that time. That's important. That makes me unique and special, right? So I'm not going to give you all 5 because I don't think you want to listen to my resume here, but think about the things that make you unique and special. Write those down. Now, here is where you're going to do some work. You're going to do some work on your own. I want you in 2 or 3 sentences, describe your brand, own it. If you don't own it, someone else will do it for you. If you don't own it, people just won't know who you are. Yes, they will know that you are Jane Smith, and I don't know why I said that name, but you are Jane Smith and you do community relations. You are the director of community relations. They don't know what you are known for beyond that. So they get to decide because you're not defining your personal brand and putting it out there for them. One thing we're going to talk about next week is where you might get stuck. One area is the visibility, making sure people know you. I'm going to talk all about networking for career growth, and that is a huge part of visibility when it comes to your brand. Okay, so I want you 2 to 3 sentences, describe your brand. What is it? For me, it is, now I'm independent, right? So what I want to be known for is helping organizations turn their frontline staff into brand ambassadors. That's my brand when it comes to the consulting side of my business. That's it. Now I can add 2 to 3 sentences there and make it longer, but that one sentence, that's my value proposition. That's what I want to be known for. So think about what yours is. If you don't define it, just remember someone else is going to do it for you. And we don't have time for that. They don't know you. You know you. Okay, so now you also, as you go through this, again, I recommend taking some time, write it, and then come back to it, look at it again. Anytime I give that advice to my clients, they go off on their own and they do the work. Then they come back and then they say, that was a good idea because I wrote it. And then I felt like I wrote what I needed to write or it wasn't quite true. I took some time away from it, a couple of days, came back, refined it. And now I feel really strongly about my personal brand. Okay, what you also want to do is once you feel like it is defined, you want to make sure that this shows in your networking when you're talking to people, what committees, what groups you belong to. So I knew for me, okay, I want to be known for fan experience. I'm going to be part of this fan experience committee that was putting on an annual event every year to get everybody who did the work that we do, our counterparts, get them in the same place. And we had a summit every year. I was on the committee for that. That was important that people got to see something that didn't get paid for it, it was volunteer, but it was something else I got to do to show my brand. So it's the visibility. What does your LinkedIn say? Take a look at that. What does your social say? And I'm talking about LinkedIn. If you use Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok for professional reasons, what does it say about you and your brand? Does it come through? I'm not saying that you have to do all the things. Just make sure if you're doing one of them, I always recommend do one and do it really well. If you're doing one of them, make sure your personal brand is coming through. If you have a website or portfolio, love that. Love it, love it, love it. Helps you stand out. Again, not saying you have to go do it, but if you have one, make sure your personal brand comes out in the words that you put on the paper, in the story that you're telling on these platforms. Last thing, I'm leaving you with a checklist. So when you downloaded the worksheet, you also got a personal brand checklist. So make sure you go through and think about some of the things that are in here. Circle things that are important to you to make sure you understand. It says your why, getting clear on two things. I think you guys know. I'm going to say what matters most to you when it comes to your career. What do you want to be known for? Make sure those two things are defined. And then it's going to talk about your action, maybe your online presence, maybe your relationship with your manager. Circle a few so you can focus on those. And then your results. That's also important. What do you want to get out of this? Right? So there's about 6 or 7 listed. Which ones are important to you? It could be you want this to lead to more opportunities for you, or you could be very happy in your job. So you're not looking for job opportunities, but you're looking for more speaking opportunities. You're looking for more volunteer opportunities, such as the committee that I just mentioned. You want to get involved with the league office or a parent company, depending on who you work for. Right? You want to create a stronger relationship with the industry. So this checklist is going to help you. I would not say that you try to hit every single thing on here, because I think that's when we get overwhelmed and then we just freeze and we don't do anything. Game of Her Own listeners, we talked for about 20 minutes about you creating and defining your personal brand. So I gave you some exercises and I didn't want to give you too much. I didn't want to overwhelm you. Some of these workbooks are 10 and 15 pages and I take my clients through them and we spend some time on them and we really dive in. I didn't want to give you everything. I just wanted to get you started. If defining your personal brand is something that is important to you, I have the things that you downloaded, and this episode is going to help you get started. Next week, we're going to talk about networking for career growth. And that's really important when it comes to visibility and getting your brand out there. So make sure to join me next week. Beyond that, if you want some additional support, if you want to just sit down in one session and figure out how to really get out there and get into the weeds and make sure you have a strategy that helps you get your personal brand out there. Make sure that it's defined in a way that is authentic to you. Scroll down. There is a link for you to set up a 20-minute call with me. We can just talk about if you and I working together makes sense, if it's the right fit, if you have some goals that I can support you in getting to. All right, my friends, it has been an honor spending the past 20 minutes with you. I love being able to talk to you every week. Until next week, my friends.